Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Imam Hussein Media Group extends their heartfelt condolences to Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallah Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif and to the Muslim world on the sorrowful anniversary of the martyrdom of Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam. Now with the main headlines. On the International Shia Day, Shia Rights Watch calls for ramping up efforts to combat all forms of oppression and violence. Shia devotees of Ahlul Bayt commemorate sorrowful martyrdom anniversary of Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam. The Imam Hussein Foundation holds its weekly session to discuss its Karbala Vision project. US gives refugee priority to Chinese Uyghur Muslims. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers. This is Yunus Dawood and you're watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3, London. Shia Muslims all over the world commemorated the International Day of Shias, which Shia Rights Watch designated June the 12th to mark this day to inform the international community of the oppression and injustice the Shia followers of Ahlul Bayt are experiencing. More details in this report.
On the International Shia Day marked 12th of June, Shia Rights Watch has reaffirmed the need to intensify all international efforts to combat and restrict all forms of oppression, official and popular abuse inflicted on Shia Muslims based on sectarianism. The SRW organization said in a statement received by the Shia Waves agency that the International Shia Day was first instituted in 2015 in commemoration of the massacre that occurred at Camp Speicher in 2014, in which ISIS militants killed more than 1,700 Iraqi Shia soldiers. In addition to the mass graves that contain the bodies of thousands of Iraqi children, women and elderly people who were executed by Saddam's sectarian regime. The organization added that Shia Muslims are subjected to discrimination, imprisonment and even execution for practicing their beliefs by not just terror groups, but also governments who have systematized anti-Shiism within their domestic and foreign policies. The SRW elaborated that violence against Shia Muslims does not differentiate victims by age, gender, location or socioeconomic status, noting that in some Islamic, Arab and non-Arab countries, many Shia communities still suffer the atrocities, hatred-filled attacks and violations as in the case of Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia and some other African countries. This International Shia Day, Shia Rights Watch has renewed its calls to all individuals to stand proud in support of individual rights to exist and use their right to express their identities without the fear of being targeted. The Shia organization concluded its statement by reiterating its commitment to intensify efforts to closely monitor all violations and attacks that target Shia Muslims and deprive them of their rights protected by divine and human-made laws. Imam Hussein reporting for Shia Waves.
The Shia followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam have commemorated the martyrdom anniversary of Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salam at his pure shrine in the holy city of Mashhad, according to the narration of his martyrdom on the 23rd of the holy month of Dhul Qa'dah. Large crowds from all over Iran flocked on foot to commemorate the painful memory at the holy shrine. Husseini morning processions and service mawqibs spread out on various routes taken by pilgrims to provide food, water and other beverages. Morning ceremonies shed light on the biography of Imam Ali ibn Musa ibn Rida alayhi salam and the sacrifices for the religion of Islam. Mosques, Husainiyat and religious centers witnessed the organizations of many religious and cultural activities and events and held mourning ceremonies to commemorate the painful anniversary. The Misbah al-Hussein Foundation for Relief and Development has discussed the issue of electricity in the holy city of Karbala as part of its large developmental project for the Arba'in pilgrimage. The director of Karbala-based foundation, Abdul Sahib al-Kishwan, stated to Shia Waves agency that the foundation held its weekly session on its Holy Karbala Vision 2030, 50 million pilgrims during the Arba'in pilgrimage, where the attendees discussed the details, the electricity issue in the holy city of Karbala. Al-Kishwan also added that the session was attended by the Secretary General of Misbah al-Hussein Foundation and local officials, specialists and the heads of the committees operating on the project. The director pointed out that the session was opened by the former director of the Karbala Electricity Distribution Company, Al-Kishwan, and concluded that the attendees reached the conclusion that the holy city of Karbala needs for more stations to generate and distribute electricity, especially during the massive Arba'in pilgrimage, when millions of pilgrims visit the holy city. Let us remind our respective viewers of today's headlines. On the International Shia Day, Shia Rights Watch calls for ramping up efforts to combat all forms of oppression and violence. Shia devotees of Ahlul Bayt commemorate sorrowful martyrdom anniversary of Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi salam. Misbah al-Hussein Foundation holds its weekly session to discuss its Karbala Vision project. Also tonight, Shia Hazara family pledged to uplifting fellow refugees in New Zealand. US lawmakers have introduced a bipartisan bill in Congress that would grant priority to refugee status to Uyghurs fleeing persecution in China. If passed into law, it will designate Uyghurs and other persecuted ethnic groups as Priority 2 or P2 and expedites their ability to apply for asylum in the United States. A representative of the US Democratic Party said that the terrible crimes that the Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities are facing at the hands of the Chinese government is a global human rights emergency, and the United States cannot turn its back on those fleeing this persecution. The P2 designation is for Uyghurs who are persecuted by China for expressing political opinions and religious beliefs or participating in political, religious and cultural activities. Those who receive the designation will receive special humanitarian assistance as well as assistance with resettlement and the US asylum process. This action comes at a time when Uyghur rights groups have called on the international community to take concrete action against China for committing severe rights violations against the predominantly Muslim group in Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. And now we'll continue with some short news. The members of the Hajj delegation of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi's office travelled to the holy city of Medina for their annual service to Hajj pilgrims. After arriving in the city, the delegation set up the Hajj office of the Grand Marja. May Allah prolong his life. It should be also noted that every year this office hosts thousands of scholars, jurists, preachers and prominent religious figures of the Shi'i world from different countries, students of religious sciences and other pilgrims of Baytullah al-Haram and visitors to the holy city of Medina. It is worth mentioning that the members of the Hajj office of Ayatollah Shirazi answer theological questions and religious queries of the visitors during the Hajj period. The director of the Spain-based Ahlul Bayt Foundation has confirmed that the delegation to the holy city of Karbala found peaceful coexistence and respect for all faiths and nationalities. The foundation's delegation visited the Abbas Holy Shrine and met its legal custodian and other officials. Musa al-Assam, the foundation's director, said that the aim of the visit is to form a complete image of Iraq's cultural and religious reality. The head of the Immortalizing Species Massacre Committee, Mu'in al-Kadhimi, demanded on Saturday to guarantee the rights of the families of the victims of the painful Species Massacre, who were captured and killed by ISIS when they took control of some parts of Iraq. On the 9th anniversary of the Species Massacre, al-Kadhimi said in a statement received by Shia Waves that the Species Massacre is a black mark in the history of humanity, which lasted for 4 days, resulting in the martyrdom of those captured by the terrorist movement. Al-Kadhimi also added that the death toll of the massacre amounted to more than 1,900 martyrs, and over 500 of them are still missing. He reaffirmed that the search efforts are continuing to find the missing martyrs, and he urged the government to ensure the rights of their families. Animal researchers believe that the number of many endangered and non-threatened species of animals is declining rapidly. This has resulted in an alarming rate of biodiversity loss in the world. With animal populations falling so quickly, it seems that the world is approaching another extinction crisis. According to Time magazine, the human race has destroyed much of the wildlife on Earth. These scientists add that the animal population decline is more concentrated in the tropics compared to temperate regions. These scientists will say the issue will have wide-ranging ecological and ecosystem consequences. Suspected ISIS militants armed with light weapons killed at least 2 Iraqi officers and wounded 3 other members of the army in northern Kirkuk province on Saturday overnight, according to the military. The attack targeted an army outpost in Dibis district's Talal al-Ward village on 11 p.m. According to a statement from the security media cell, the military media and the press release adds that the top Iraqi military officials in the province visited the site to investigate the incident on Sunday. The attack comes as the Iraqi forces regularly target suspected hideouts belonging to the terror group in the country's remote areas. The New Zealand news website Stuff has published a new report on the life of a Shia Hazara family who fled Pakistan due to increasing violence and killings that forced thousands of Shia Hazara Muslims to flee their country in search of security and a better life. Changazi Laikwat and his family were one of the Pakistani Hazara families that had escaped the rampant violence and instability in the country, and now they are residing in New Zealand. Laikwat and his family have dedicated themselves to uplifting fellow refugees in New Zealand and to help them cope after a long and difficult journey. The Hazara family were granted entry to New Zealand, where they settled in Hamilton. The negative perceptions and stereotypes associated with refugees prompted the Shia family to pledge to challenge these negative perceptions. Changazi also worked with the Red Cross New Zealand and is now the executive director of the Refugee Orientation Centre Trust. It should be mentioned that Shia Hazara Muslims have historically been marginalised and suffered violence in majority Sunni countries, including Pakistan. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our viewers of today's headlines. On the International Shia Day, Shia Rights Watch calls for ramping up efforts to combat all forms of oppression and violence. Shia devotees of Ahlul Bayt commemorate sorrowful martyrdom anniversary of Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam. Misbah al-Hussein Foundation holds its weekly session to discuss its Karbala Vision project. US gives refugee priority to Chinese Uyghur Muslims. Shia Hazara family pledged to show uplifting fellow refugees in New Zealand. You can view the latest news on Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching, and we pray to Allah the Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. دار قصة عقبة